Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I'm joined here by Pavel, who's one of our AMO ambassadors. He has done rotations through AMO in the past, and he's here to just really share a little bit more about himself. And then also to introduce myself, my name is Anthony. I am the partnership advisor here at AMO. So we will start the webinar with having Pavel kind of introduce himself, tell us a little bit about, his background, what he's done so far, and then we will go over kind of a quick um, overview of like what AMO is, our clinical rotations that we offer, and then maybe we'll do a demo of the site and maybe do a quick Q&A at the end. I will also provide a discount code for those that have attended. So stay to the very end and I will release that code. So thank you and stay tuned. So Pavel, it's really good to see that you're here. Please share a little bit about yourself and what are you currently working on and doing?
Sure. Well, my name is Pavel Pichardo. I'm an international medical graduate from Mexico. I finished medical school over there. That was like 7 years. After that, I did like 2 years of a master's degree, and then I published like a couple of research papers, and then I applied for a research position here in the United States. So basically, right now I'm a research fellow over here at Houston, Texas Medical Center at University of Texas Health Science Center at Houston. So I mean, I'm happy to share like whatever you guys need from me. So like I'm still on my journey towards applying for neurosurgery. I already finished my step exams. I already published a couple of papers. So if anyone needs like any advice regarding that as well, just let me know.
Perfect. Well, and it sounds like you're doing a lot of work right now in your fellowship position. What are some of the day-by-day things that you're currently working on?
Sure. So basically my position is mainly on clinical research. So this means that we don't focus like a lot on, for example, like mouse models, or we don't also like we do like a lot of genetic sequencing and stuff like that. So it's a little mixture between basic science, because we do like a lot of genomic analysis as well as like some proteins and stuff like that. But we mainly focus on clinical research in two main diseases. One of them is neuro-oncology, particularly glioblastoma, which is the most common type of malignant primary brain tumor, and the other one is epilepsy. So both of my mentors I'm working with Dr. Eskenazi and also with Dr. Tanner, who are like two amazing neurosurgeons over here. So basically, I just focus on that particular stuff. I do like a lot of tissue sampling. We collect, for example, some different brain tissues. We also process some blood samples, CSF fluid. We're also studying the gut glioma axis, because right now there's like a tendency towards discovering like which and how bacteria can influence the development or how to battle, for example, glioblastoma and other different types of diseases. So I mean, that's how my day-to-day looks like. It's really fun because I get to talk with a lot of different medical doctors. For example, I talk with a lot of attendings, also like fellowships who are like, I don't know, like spine fellows or neuro-oncology fellows. So it's really cool. And like I get to go into the morning meetings. It's really fun because the residents know me. I get to present, for example, one of my projects just got accepted to be like an oral presentation at CNS annual meeting, which is like a big conference for neurosurgery. So I mean, it's pretty fun. Like after so much studying, like after the step exams, I really do feel like this is like a small vacation. So even though it is like a lot of work still, I don't think it's like really that difficult. So it's a little bit fun because I get to travel a lot. For example, last week I was in New York for a conference. I'm gonna go next week to Washington D.C. for another conference. In December there's Orlando, so it's really fun because you're like all over the place. So it's, even though it is like a lot of research and some work, I think it's really fun. And regardless, I'm having like the time of my life, to be honest.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like a really good kind of day by day in what you're doing. Um, Now let's kind of circle back and start, from the very start of your original journey. What made you want to, eventually apply to medical school?
So my mother was family a family medicine physician. Yeah, so she was like a primary care physician, and she was like a big part of what influenced me towards trying to achieve or trying to strive to becoming like a medical doctor. So she was working in Mexico, and like she was really and no, she was and still is like a hero to me in many senses. So even though like she mainly focused on family medicine, I think that that's the fundamentals of most of the medicine, and like that really taught me like a really important lesson that it is the same. It has like the same importance or relevance whether you're winning like a Nobel Peace Prize or if you're treating the mother of someone like in a primary care consult. So like I don't know. So that's how I decided to pursue medical school. But it was like when I had like 18, I believe, when I started medical school. So it was like a decision I made in my last 2 weeks before applying. So even though it was a bit like I don't know, like medical school and as an international, it's a bit weird because how over here, like in the United States, you get college, and then like through college you get to let your thoughts marinate a little bit. You get to grow a lot. So I don't know, like taking that big of a decision when you're so young. I don't know if it's the best thing to do, but regardless, it turned well to me. So I mean, that's what I did for a couple of years, and like through medical school, I was really passionate about learning. Probably like even though I wasn't like a big reader back in when I was 18, I eventually learned to love like learning more than that my not so that my enjoyment probably, which wasn't a lot for reading. So it was really cool because my passion for learning was really what carried me out through books and books and books and books, even though like I wasn't like the best reader ever. So that's how everything started, and then like probably by the middle of medical school, when I was like probably in third year, I decided that I wanted to pursue my medical specialty residency over here. So it's been like a long journey. I'm like right now I'm 29, and I'm still like on this fight towards trying to get into medical residency. So like I don't know, like I'm just trying to have fun like along the way and hope that everything turns well in the end. But we'll see. I'm gonna be applying next cycle like in September, but everything's looking good so far.
Awesome. And, good luck to you on that upcoming match next season.
Yeah, thank you.
And, what made you decide on neurosurgery? I mean, to me, it's such a difficult specialty for a lot of people to want to get into. And, kudos to you to, wanting to work in that field. But what made you decide on that?
I think that like mentors definitely play like a big part in general. So like I always like encourage everyone to anyone who's like in medical school to first, for you to be able to choose like a medical specialty, you have to decide whether you like the whole body and you want to become like an internal medicine doctor, or if you like the heart a lot, or like in my case, I was really like fascinated with neurological diseases for many reasons. One of them was that both of my grandmothers, paternal and maternal, had like eventually developed like dementia. It was most probably like Alzheimer's disease. So like at that point in time, it was there's also like a lot of background of different like psychiatric disorders like in my family. So like I don't know, like since that was like one of the big problems that I wanted to solve, like I didn't know like how to. I was feeling like some feeling of impotency because like as you grow older, even though you're trying your best and you're trying to learn stuff, like problems also like get better as you keep growing, and they keep getting more complicated. Like your friends like starts to spread apart, and like also like family members can get sick, right? So um that's when I decided that I wanted to do something about neurological diseases. But and like this really has to be, it's really direct with how AMO helped me a lot, and that's the whole reason like why I'm trying to help like in any way I can, because since my school was relatively small, it was like super new. And the thing is that since my school wasn't like in the world directory of medical schools, I couldn't actually apply for the step exam. So it was a really sad moment for me because even though I was studying like so hard for 2 or 3 years, like when I was like in, I don't know, like third year of medical school, and it was a bit frustrating because even though that I wanted to do this, I knew what I needed to do, and getting letters of recommendation, stuff like that becomes eventually like a big part of it, right? So um like I didn't know how to start. And I think that one of the biggest problems or obstacles that I stumbled upon was that most of the rotations that are out there almost always ask you for a step score, or a step exam pass or whatever. And even though that I was, eventually I did in my exams, I did score like above average for one of the most competitive specialties. I can, like, my scores are good enough to apply for any specialty I want. But the thing is that at that point in time, there was no way to actually prove it, and like once even though like you're so young and you want to do stuff, I don't know, like at least having the chance was something that was tying my arms around. So the cool thing is that then I found this website. It was like AMO. I can't remember if it was like an advertisement on Facebook or something, but it was like really small. I remember that like there was this post that I saw that it had like, I don't know, like 20 or something like it was really small because this was like back in 2017 or something like that. So when that happened, I started to like a rotation in the thing is, I'm not rich, and the thing is, I've always had to, for example, for the step exams, I had to work a little bit. So I didn't know how I was going to solve the funding issue. So I was born in Tijuana, and Tijuana is like, if you see Mexico and the northern west part of it, like just in the corner, it is located like right to the south of San Diego. So the thing is that I was looking for a rotation in San Diego to be able to actually not pay for any housing. So it was good because I did find like a neurosurgery rotation in San Diego, but it was like also a bit difficult because I had to cross the border like every day. Like every day is like a 3 hour wait just to do it. You had to take like the bus, and it was like a little bit difficult. I had to do a lot of things. The thing is that over there I met probably one of my, if not my biggest inspiration ever. His name was Dr. B, let's call him like that, and he eventually transitioned to a position at UCSD, and he's a neurosurgeon over there, and he's amazing. But the thing is that at that point in time, like we had like such a great time. It was just like a 1 month rotation, but even though it was just a 1 month rotation, I got to do like a lot of stuff. I got to interview patients. I got to bond a lot with the doctor. The thing is that when that rotation was over, he told me, "Hey man, like I really enjoy spending time with you. So if you want to come, like in the future, feel free to come." The thing is that even though it was like a 1 month experience, it eventually turned down into a 2 year volunteer. So it was really cool because like I even have this book over here. Just for context, the Bible of neurosurgery is called the Greenberg Handbook of Neurosurgery, which is this one. The thing is that I remember that like it was like back in 2017, and I asked him, I told him that I wanted. I even have a picture right here, like it was like back of my rotation in AMO. Like this is like the doctor, and like this one really meant a lot for me because the thing is that I told him that I wanted to become a neurosurgeon. The thing is, like when you're so young, like a lot of people right now are telling me, "Hey man, you can definitely do it. Like you have the scores, you have the publication, you have the LORs, right?" But right now I don't think that I believe that I need that like support anymore. But at that point in time, when you don't have anything, or when you're just starting, everything I just heard was like, you can't do it, it's really difficult, as an international. The thing is that when I met Dr. B and I told him that I was interested and that I wanted to pursue that, he told me, "Oh sure, like I hope that we become colleagues eventually." The thing is that he gave me this book as a gift, like and like it is my most precious gift and memory that I have of him. So it was cool because like I wasn't even graduating. I was just a medical student. I didn't have any scores. Like he like it was just like I always describe it like a leap of faith or something like that, because I don't know, like getting someone to believe in you even before you do, I don't know, like that definitely can become like a life-changing experience. So that's how I decided to do it. Like in general, most of the neurological diseases are able to be treated like medically until they can. For example, epilepsy, it's always treated with like anti-epileptic drugs and Valkyrie, lamotrigine, and stuff like that. But eventually, when it becomes like too refractory, neurosurgery has to come in. Also, let's say like neuro-oncology, same thing. Like when whenever like the initial therapy for some tumors might be like radiotherapy, chemotherapy, but it becomes like when it's too big and you have to resect it eventually. So like I don't know, like and also like the biggest and the most prominent neuroscientists that have lived until this point, let's say Paul Broca, is the Brodmann, so all of them were neurosurgeons. So like I just learned that my mentor who like he is really like what I want to achieve in life, and the type of person I want to be, the kind-hearted and like so heartwarming and hardworking person as well that I want to become is just like him. So like I don't know, like it was partly influenced by my family, partly influenced by my context, partly influenced and most strongly by a mentor who believed in that I could do it, and and the rest is history. And like I'm still striving for it, and I'm really having fun.
Awesome. Well, that was a really great explanation of, what made you want to get into neurosurgery. And this goes for everybody too. It's that, while the rotations are only 4 weeks long, that doesn't mean that like it really just ends after that. You're
Yeah,
going to stay in contact with that doctor. You want them to kind of become that mentor and to, be able to, have someone that you can rely upon when it comes to matching or just really anything, career related work.
yeah.
Um, and it's funny how you brought up that you found AMO through like an ad in like 2017. We have grown a lot since that time, and we've hosted or at least helped thousands of medical students in that time. Uh, you know, I guess like I guess the question I'm trying to think of is like, what made you want to rotate through AMO when you saw that we were like such a small kind of company at that time?
Yeah. So mainly, like even though it was like small, it was mostly like the practical implications, because I didn't like I couldn't find any other rotation. I found a couple of neurosurgery, but they were in Miami, they were like in New York, and stuff that wasn't, as I told you, like my family has like economical issues, that had economical issues at that point in time. Like as I said, like like I was like in a tight spot, and I really believe that was like one of my only shots to actually start, and it was like for example, like without without that bond that I created with this doctor and that mentorship, he eventually gave me like a letter of recommendation, which I'm also trying to use it for my residency application. But that also helped me to get this job I'm right now. So even though it doesn't look like it, of course, like you have to work a lot, but like the networking part is something that you have to have, because otherwise, like mostly for internationals, like most residency programs, uh, obviously like they will prioritize American medical graduates. So the only way that you can actually let them know that you're there, let them know that you might be valuable, let them know that you can probably make a difference, is if someone vouches for you, right? So you want like someone who is going to be able to, or who will be willing to, they say it like this, like put their hands on fire for you and all those. So yeah, like it was really cool, because he at the end of the day, he raised the phone for me. He said, yeah, I mean, I've worked with Pavel, and I know he's a really great student, and he's been, I consider him like an extended part of my family. For someone to say that, I mean, that it's difficult to rival something like that. And at the end of the day, like medical schools, like medical scores are a part of it. The step exams sure are a part of it. The publications sure are important, but at the end of the day, what will get you into residency is your letters of recommendation, and eventually let them know that you're a person they can work with. You have to be a good person in order to be able to do that, and for you to be able to do that, you have to get like a great letter of recommendation, and for you to do that, you have to have at least like a good rotation. So for me, it was like a game changer. And why I decided that basically was because it was the closest one. But like I don't know, like I always have believed that everything happens for a reason, and like um if the universe, God, or whoever you would want, you want to put me in that situation, I believe that here they wanted me to try to make the most of it, right? So that's why I ended up over there.
Awesome. And I did see one question come in the Q&A that I would love you for to answer. It's by
Sure.
Diego. Um, they asked, are you being paid for that research position that you're attending right now in Houston? I'm
Nice.
assuming so, because most research positions and they will pay you.
Yeah, so in general, like it sort of depends on your CV, and I want to say this just for disclosure. The most common way internationals apply for jobs over here, yes, unfortunately, it is unfunded. So that means that you have to be here for like, let's say, like after a year, they eventually start to pay you. So like right now, I'm in a like they already pay me, right? But I have many friends that unfortunately have to take like this route. But that's why I think it's really important for you guys to try to get involved in research as soon as possible. For example, by the time that I applied over here for the position, and for them to be able to consider me like a good candidate for research, I already knew how to do like run statistical analysis. I already knew how to publish. I already knew how to write papers. I already knew how to perform clinical studies. So like, sure, like but at the end of the day, you're going to be competing for a position, and you have to demonstrate or show them that you're valuable in many senses. And again, so like even though my skill was good enough, I had papers, I knew how to do the studies, I knew how to do a lot of stuff. But I can say it without any hesitation. One of the most important things that got me into this job, directly from Mexico over here to straight into a paid position, was mostly the fact that I had someone to vouch for me. So, like, yeah, like it is in every one of you to try to learn the statistics, learn how to polish, learn how to get involved in research if you want a position like this. But don't forget that like also rotations can help you a lot. Like in my case, getting that letter of recommendation has really carried me like a long way. And like I really do believe it was like a big part of why they accepted me over here. Like, how is it possible that someone who is like a neurosurgeon over here is talking like amazing things about someone, right? And the only way that you can be able to get like a letter of recommendation, even if it's not for the match, but at least for a position or something, it's gonna be it can help you a lot. And um so yeah, like of course you have to. It is paid. You can apply for paid positions, but for that you have to be a good applicant and have good letters of recommendation in general.
Perfect. And yeah, I would definitely, you know, add on to that too. Most like I like to say it's a phrase that I always live and kind of go by. It's essentially who do you know?
Yeah,
So if you're fairly new to like the US medical system, maybe you don't know any doctors, this is like your first time traveling here. Really the best thing you got to do is get your foot in the door, meet new
sure.
people, network. And that, not only is meaning that you're going to meet doctors that are precepting in the US, but also, students and graduates that are attending the rotations too, because they're all most likely doing the same exact goal as you guys are doing.
Sure.
Maybe they're, basically it's the same thing. So, I always like to recommend that. And, uh, but yeah.
Yeah, that's like a big part of it. And also like I remember that Dr. B told me like this really great quote that like I believe is really popular, but it says something like um if you're the smartest person in the room, you're probably in the wrong room. So like it really gave me like a lot of insight. So even though I did learn a lot from that rotation, I don't know why that stuck to me. And then like I try to if I'm like in a hospital or I always try to be surrounded by people that I consider more capable than me, and that's what eventually will get you like closer to like all the goals that you want to achieve, right? So yeah, like at the end of the day, I think that networking is a big part, and the most common way for you to be able to get that networking opportunities is for you to be here, and for you to be here, this is a great like a great way of achieving that. If you, for example, were like me and you didn't have any step scores, and probably that was one of the only options, right? So yeah, I really do believe that like as I said, like I am really grateful to AMO for like all the help they've given me so far. But yeah, like networking is gonna change a lot of things.
Looks like Diego had another question. Can they have your contact information to speak with
Yeah, yeah,
you later?
sure. Like all right, I'm gonna leave my Instagram account. I usually like answer all my messages over there. So you can find me as pavel.pichardo.md. You can find me like that on Instagram. Twitter is like mostly academical, but you can search for me like Pavel Pichardo MD. Just without any points or like a lower score underscores or anything. So you know, just try to reach out to me. I can eventually I do answer all my texts, so just try to reach out to me and I'll be more than happy to help you guys.
Perfect. And then I also myself linked the AMO Ambassador page. So if you wanted to, speak to Pavel through his email and his Instagram that are listed there, we also have access to all of our other ambassadors too. They're from a bunch of different countries and different specialties that they're currently doing. So that's going to be a really great resource just to, talk to them and see how their experience was like. So, Pavel, I do have one more question. I know it's late for you as well, but what's some advice that you would like to share with everybody here that maybe is looking to eventually apply for the U.S. residency match?
Um, I would say that probably the best advice that I would have liked to have is don't believe everyone because like you're gonna hear like a lot of opinions and like I'm really like a data driven person. So like for example, a lot of people were telling me, hey, so like I don't know, like internationals can match into like neurosurgery or dermatology or whatever. So what I recommend you is, sure, obviously, like look for some advice of someone, that's more like farther into the journey, but also do your research, right? So I'll always focus on, for example, check the official page of the National Residency Matching Program data. Over there, you can learn a lot of things. For example, like I don't know, like I get people reaching out to me like, oh, Pavel, I got like a 198 and I want to apply for general surgery. Do you think that my opportunity is over? Like I don't know. So what I always encourage them to do is to check the match data. Oh, so look at this thing. Apparently there was this one guy that got like a 195 that got matched into general surgery. So and then you notice, okay, so what did this applicant have? Oh, so he had research, he had publications. So like all the specialties are different, and your preparation procedure and your letters of recommendation and whatever is going to be completely different based on on what specialty you want. For example, in my case, like for most competitive specialties, you have to have research, but this might not be true. For example, if you want to apply for family medicine or pediatrics or internal medicine. So even though research does make you like a better applicant, it's not necessary for all because at the end of the day, it's time that you're going to be spending. And even though you're getting paid, and which is definitely like really cool, um, like for me it was great because I don't have to worry about money anymore because that was like a big issue when I was starting the journey and like I didn't know how I was going to pay like for all of it. Like the rotations, the exams. So like it is really cool. So I would just encourage you to try to search into these NRMP database and then just try to build your way through, like connect with people, connect with other IMGs that have already achieved what you want to achieve. Because reach out to people. At the end of the day, like we need to help each other to try to get a little bit closer to what we want to achieve, right? So that's my general advice. Just connect with most of the people. Also check the data. Data will like I always tell my students this: numbers don't lie, right? So like if you want to write like a personal statement, like for example, numbers have told me this. According to NRMP, the second most important factor for someone to match is the letter of recommendation. That's incredible because you like even though I don't care what whoever says, oh you have to have like a 260. Not really. I have like a couple of friends that have gotten like 260 and 270 in the step score and they haven't had like any they haven't matched yet. So focus on the data. At the end of the day, the numbers don't lie. They're gonna help you a lot, and also if you need help, try to reach out to someone who's willing to help you. Okay, just pay your way through. Like eventually, the days where you don't have any money in your bag, you don't know how you're gonna get through that night or of studying. You don't know what's gonna happen the next week, or like all of them is gonna be like eventually a distant memory of the past. So just believe, carry through, and the more hard you work, the more lucky you eventually become. There was this mentor of mine that always said this to me, that like luck is when preparation and opportunity meet. So like just work hard enough, be a good person, and eventually network with people. People are gonna start to like you, and just believe a lot, and eventually it'll happen.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I echo the exact same thing when I speak to a lot of students and graduates looking to match, and they'll tell me like their scores, like how much experience they have, and like, can I match? And I'm like, you gotta refer to the data. Like,
Yeah,
there's no set way on matching. If there were, everybody would be matching. There would be a textbook that would explain it all. Like it's gonna be very, very different for everybody.
definitely.
So just knowing exactly, what you just have to do and kind of meet those kind of goals and guidelines is really going to be the best way to do it. Um, and then research, that is something that I like to say is kind of a cherry on top for a lot of different specialties. The more competitive ones, like you mentioned, absolutely going to be required. Like if you're going to have any real chance of matching into those more difficult specialties, research is really going to be mandatory. And as you mentioned, it's maybe not required for internal medicine or pediatrics, but it does help. So if you guys
Yes.
were interested, you have the time, definitely encourage doing research. We also have research rotations as well in case you guys maybe needed like an intro, maybe you're not familiar with how to start research or publish. This is going to be a great way to kind of understand how it all kind of works. Um, and then now I'm seeing some questions come in here, which is really great to see. So we can just kind of
Sure.
keep on going. Diego had another question here. What would your recommendation to match into neurology? Does research count? It's kind of all like we're saying right now. There's really no set way. Neurology, I don't know off the top of my head if it's that very competitive, but um, Pavel, I'll let you take over. You probably are going to know more than me.
General, neurology is really IMG friendly. So the cool part of it is that, like it sort of depends like in what programs you want to apply. So if you want like normal programs and like not too competitive, only with the step exams and then a couple of rotations might be just enough to for you to be able to match. Like it's not necessary for you to be able to have research. But for example, if you're willing to get it like into a university program, or if you're willing, for example, let's say that you want to get, for example, my university is like a university hospital. Like, let's say you want to match into UCSD, you want to match in UCLA, you want to match in Harvard. All this university programs that do really value it like a lot of like research. So unless you want to apply to those programs, then definitely like research become necessary. But again, it sort of depends on what you want. Like since neurology is really IMG friendly, you don't necessarily need it. But if you want to the most competitive programs, you definitely need it.
Perfect. And then we had another question by Madeline here. They said, are case reports relevant to put in a CV as research?
Yeah, like at the end of the day, like whatever is, even though so there's I really enjoy like talking about this hierarchy of evidence pyramid. So like on the lower levels, yes, there's through the editor. There's always like case reports, and as you keep on building the evidence, it becomes case series, then case control studies, then cohort studies, then randomized control trials, then meta-analysis, right? So even though you're writing on the lowest level of evidence, it's still evidence. And like there's still index journals, it's gonna still help you. And at the end of the day, a lot of people just start with that, with a case report, because that even if it doesn't get published, hopefully it will, but like let's say like worst case scenario, like it doesn't get published, it's still useful because you're gonna learn how to write papers. And like medical school doesn't teach you how to do that, and mostly like in as an IMG is really difficult. So I would definitely encourage you to put it in your CV. It definitely adds a lot. Mostly if it is like an index journal that appears in PubMed. So yes, it's useful.
Yeah, I agree too. I mean, anything that you really do, you should be putting in your CV no matter what. I like to jokingly say it's kind of like a dating profile. Like, what would you put in your Tinder profile? Like, just, what is going to make you look advertising to somebody else that wants you?
Yeah.
So, I always agree, putting experience, whatever research you're working on. Publishing doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes it takes years. So that's just something that, if it's not published yet, don't worry, put that in there because you did actively work on it. And then even one that most people don't talk about is volunteer experience. It's not all about, doing work to become a doctor. It's like they like to see things that, you're not required to do. So volunteer experience is usually one that not a lot of people talk about, but it is looked at.
Yes.
I did have another question come in by Denia. She says, "Hello, Pavel. So nice to meet you. I have a question for you, and I hope that you can help me out. I'm a fourth year medical student, and I'm currently doing research here in Mexico City.
Congrats.
I've already published some articles with the goal of matching in a residency program. Does doing research in Mexico or any other country have the same impact as doing research in the USA? Or does research only count if you do it in the USA? Thank you so much."
Yeah, no, like all of them work. Like at the end of the day, let's say like my initial publications, all of them were done in Mexico. And at the end of the day, they don't care like where you're publishing from, but rather like the actual journal. So like it doesn't matter like if you wrote that like in the middle of nowhere, let's say like there's like this city, this place in Mexico, like we say like it doesn't have anything, so it's like a local joke. But let's say you wrote in Zacatecas, no one's gonna like worry about that. Like at the end of the day, if it's like in Journal of Neurosurgery, even though you're from Tlaxcala or like people won't care. Like at the end of the day, if it's in an index journal, that's more than enough. And but I do want to say this: if you want to apply to a competitive specialty, it is really important for you to be able to publish research over here, so they know you and they eventually get to know you a lot, and you get to network. For example, let's say I just got like a prize from AANS, which is the American Association of Neurological Surgery, and the Congress of Neurological Surgery for a research I did like in neuro-oncology and glioblastoma. So um, even though that's sure it's cool, but what is really valuable about that prize is not it's not actually the prize, but rather the opportunity of doing it with people over here, with neurosurgeons over here who are evaluating also. So look at that, Pavel won a prize even without like any of my help. So he is definitely valuable. So like even though research in your country counts, I think for non-competitive that's more than enough. But if you want competitive, definitely come over here, spend like 1 or 2 years in research, publish a lot so you can impress people, and then eventually apply for the match. But again, it sort of depends on what you're trying to achieve. Again, if you want to IMG friendly with your country, it's more than enough. If you want a competitive, definitely spend a couple of years here in research.
Mhm. And the same thing goes for letters of recommendation and US clinical experience. While it is good to have that experience in other countries, you're doing different things, exposure to different types of patients. At the end of the day, when they're reviewing your applications for the match, they want to see something written by a US doctor, something that they can actually verify. If they have to reach out to that doctor and speak to them about your experience and what you did, that's ultimately what's going to make it or break it for you. So
Yeah,
that's very important to at least get some research and some US clinical experience in the US when applying.
yeah, definitely. Like that's like a big change in what you mentioned, because I get like a lot of people asking, so hey, what do you think about letters of recommendation coming from your home country, right? So I would say, unfortunately, they do not know what is validated here for the match. Like, for example, they don't know what abilities they're trying to sell, for the applicant also. So she's really proficient. She's a really great team player, So stuff like that and buzzwords that eventually are gonna can make your like your whole future, right? So unless he is like a world leader in that particular field, which most of the people we do not know them, I would definitely encourage you to try to restrict them to most, if you want competitive, try all your, that all your letters of recommendation are from the medical field that you want to get into. If you want like more IMG friendly specialties, okay, like you can have like one of the ones from your home country. But again, it sort of depends on what you're trying to achieve. Yeah.
Cool. And we have another question by Diego here. Is there a way to have publications that do not take too much time?
Yes.
Ooh, that's a loaded loaded
Yeah.
question, but let's see
So,
how you answer it.
yes, it is possible. So like right now I learned a method, but definitely like you must learn that there are like two types of research. There are the ones that win prizes and the ones that are more evaluated by the medical community. For example, let's say the research that I did was an original study, an original cohort, an original population of patients. And, that takes a lot of time. For example, for me to pull that off and get that price, it took me months, right? But there are other types of publications that are really fast. For example, meta-analysis. Once you know how to do statistics, once you know how to look for the data, you become like extremely efficient. For example, like I learned like this, like about this method, like and also like if anyone wants to learn about statistics and about course and stuff like that, about that can help you a little bit, to polish a little bit more. Just again, try to reach out to me through my Instagram account because that alone takes like a lot of time just to discuss that. But yeah, definitely it's possible. I would say like probably literature reviews, meta-analysis, and yeah, mostly that's going to help you a lot. Cross-sectional studies maybe as well.
Perfect. And we have another question. I'm going to save this one as the last question because we are technically running out of time, and I do want to get into some slides to talk about what AMO can provide. So let me get to this question real quick.
Sure.
So Daniel asked, in order to get 4 letters of recommendation, how long would it take me doing rotations in US? Really, I would say maybe 4 rotations is really going to be the best way. Each rotation through AMOs 4 weeks long, so about a month. And you can get at least 1 letter of recommendation per rotation.
Yeah.
So that really just translates into about 4 months. And it really doesn't really depend on like when you do them. Some people may do 4 months straight in different rotations, or maybe the same one. Maybe they space it out. Maybe they do like 1 per year or something like that when they have free time. So it really is just like what's convenient for you. But really, the ultimate goal is to get at least 4 rotations to get those 4 letters of recommendation.
Yes. So and also the cool thing about rotations is that you don't always only have to be with one doctor. The cool thing is it's actually like either a clinic or a hospital or an institution. So you do get like a lot of opportunity to network with more than one doctor. So like if you're lucky, you can probably land at least, as you said, like at least one. But it is possible definitely to get more than one. So again, it sort of depends like on your social skills. You definitely have to. I wasn't as outgoing as I am today, but at that point in time, I was like extremely nervous. But I would really encourage every one of you to try to at least force yourself to try to talk with people you don't know, and I don't know, like that's gonna be like a big game changer. So yeah, I would say short, like 4 months is the like minimum, but it sort of depends like what your goals are. Again, depends on the specialty, depends on a lot of factors. But yeah, and generally 4 months.
Perfect. So I'm going to make this as a good transition to go into those slides. Pavel, it was really great, speak with you and having you, interview with us and, answer a lot of these great questions. I didn't know if you want to stick around for the last like 15 minutes or I didn't know, because I know it's pretty late for you too.
A little bit, yeah. I have to go like give another presentation like in 15 minutes, but again, I wanted to like thank like everyone for coming. I know there was like a bit rush, but if we couldn't like cover like all of your questions, just feel free to reach out to me. Like over there, there's my Instagram account, and I do answer. I might take a little bit of time, but I do answer like all my messages. So I guess I'll see you around. Then again, Anthony, it was like such a great pleasure to meet you, and I hope to see you soon. Okay.
Of course, Pavel. Great
Yeah.
to see you as well. Have a good
All
rest
right.
of your night.
Take care, buddy. Okay.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Thank you for sticking to near the very end here. I will quickly go through my presentation just because I want to make sure everybody kind of knows a little bit more, what AMO actually does and what we've done for Pavel so that you guys, could possibly apply for some of our rotations. So if you guys did not know, AMO is a company that does provide US clinical rotations to medical students and graduates. These are going to be really a helpful way of finding some top US guaranteed placements and universities, hospitals, clinics, so that, if you did need some US clinical experience, maybe you're having a hard time getting that, this is going to be a really great way of, being able to get that in such an easy and, stress-free kind of a way. Now, here's kind of a quick map of where our rotations are located. You can see here we have over 325 plus different rotations, and they're going to be in a lot of different locations. We are actively recruiting and adding more rotations. We did start out more on the East Coast, but we are branching out into the West Coast here. Now, here's some a little bit more facts and figures about AMO as a whole and kind of what we've done. So we did start in 2013. We have hosted and held over 4,200 individual trainees attending rotations since 2013. That does include Pavel for his rotation. And then last year we did host 1,400 visitors attending rotations, and that was partly during COVID. So you can see here we did host a lot of different trainees, to come during such a difficult time. Here we also have our match rate. If you guys are familiar with the match rate is, I believe for non-US IMGs, it's about 58%. For US IMGs, it's about 60%. We did have our own survey that we hosted, and we shared it with all the individuals that have attended rotations in 2022 and have applied for the match. And we really just asked them, were you able to match, yes or no? And we got a whopping 80% that said that they did. So that 20% difference really just shows that, the rotations through AMO are not just kind of, generic or simple rotations. These are going to be the highest quality that you can get. That's going to help you, have the highest chance of matching. Uh, I did briefly mention that we do have over 325 rotations. We are the largest clinical provider in the US, and that's going to be in over 70 plus different medical specialties. So we're really going to have a lot of different choices for you to choose from. We have pretty much every specialty you can think of. So really the next step, if you wanted to look at those, is to, eventually make your AMO account and profile just so that you can start viewing those different rotations. And then we also have over 83 international and domestic medical school partnerships. So we do work with a lot of individual universities directly to host rotations. Here's kind of a quick look at some of the universities that we work with. I'm gonna quickly go through those because I know we are running out of time. Here are some of our clinical partners that we work with. Here, it's going to be a lot of different places, but you probably recognize some of the hospitals and universities that we work with, but you can find a lot of rotations at these sites. They're all going to be available directly through the AMO website. Now we can kind of get into the actual nitty-gritty of a clinical rotation. So we offer a lot of different types. Specifically for the in-person ones, we offer primarily going to be hands-on and observerships. The main difference between these two is that in a hands-on rotation, you're able to directly interact with patients on a higher level compared to an observership. And then we also offer research, as Pavel mentioned, and also for maybe non-related doctor rotations such as nursing, dentistry, and then some other ones such as physical therapy. Now, some of the benefits really are going to be, helping you to match into U.S. residency. If you don't have anybody that maybe you're lacking a lot of letters of recommendation, maybe you need to practice your medical English before taking the OET. These are really going to be a great way of being able to complete these rotations while also making sure that you complete a lot of the other, maybe two birds with one stone by attending one of these rotations. And then, of course, if there is any medical students here, sometimes there's always a possibility of completing any elective credit, maybe university cores through a rotation. If that is the case, we do offer, the possibility of getting that completed. Typically, we would always recommend if this is something that you want to do, speak to an AMO advisor like myself to discuss exactly what your requirements are, and we can make sure that the rotations you apply for are going to fulfill those credits, and we, offer guaranteed placement with that credit. So that is something that you do have to talk to us before you start applying for any rotation. Now, we also do offer virtual rotations as well. These are a little bit different because they allow you to actually attend the rotations virtually. It's kind of like how we're talking here on our screens. It's not going to be in every specialty, but it's going to be for a lot of the ones that are more personal and kind of patient focused. And they do provide the same weighted letter recommendation as an in-person rotation. So maybe you're having trouble with getting a visa for traveling. Maybe you don't want to spend cost on housing or flights. This is going to be a really great way of being able to attend a rotation without actually having to physically be there. Now I can actually talk about what I do for the company. So as an advisor, really, my main goal is to help you find a rotation. We're going to be there to help you make program recommendations. We can discuss exactly what is your goal. If you're trying to match, maybe you just want some experience somewhere in a different type of specialty. We help a lot with your initial questions and concerns and just making sure that you can reserve okay. We are available through multiple different platforms such as email, text, even WhatsApp. I did post in the chat here a link to even schedule a call. It has our email and our text number. So if you did want to contact us, it is free to contact us. There is no fee to do that. So if you did have any questions about like this webinar or about Pavel or just really rotations in general, you can always reach out to us for any kind of assistance or guidance. Now, when you do reserve one of our rotations by submitting a deposit or payment, you are going to be assigned to one of our coaches as well. They are very similar to what an advisor does. They just help you with everything after the reserving part. So that does include, helping you complete your enrollment. They verify the documents you have to upload, helping you find housing, transportation. Then also they help you in the visa process part too. So that does include applying for specifically the B1, B2 visitor visa. Now, I did briefly mention on the last slide that they help you with uploading your documents. Here's kind of a quick glance of what those documents look like. The best part is you don't need to submit these documents in order to actually apply. They do come after that. Ideally, though, we would like to see at least like a CV uploaded just to help us kind of process your applications a lot quicker. But it's not really necessary for a lot of rotations. Um, so, if there is any questions about these documents, you can always reach out to us and we'll make sure that you get these completed in time. So don't think that, oh, my English proficiency is not great or I don't have a certification. Don't worry about that. That's something that we can always complete through even a direct call. So don't think too hard on these requirements. We're always going to make sure that you can attend the rotation on time. So, as we kind of talked a little bit more about letters of recommendation and how important they are, really the difference with AMO and, making, I guess like other companies or, rotations directly is that every rotation through AMO is going to be merit-based. So they are, having to be earned. But it's really easy to do that. Essentially, you just have to, participate, show up on time, ask questions, be ready to learn. It's not that difficult to ask for that letter. And the opportunity is going to be there for every rotation. So if you're on the fence of is this going to provide a letter of recommendation, they all have that opportunity. You just have to earn it. And they all are going to be personalized and tailored to whatever you're applying for. So if you didn't want like a generic or copy and pasted letter, don't worry. That does not happen through AML. You're always going to get a personalized letter based on your experience. Uh, Now, I always like to stop on this slide because it really just kind of, has you everybody just kind of plan ahead. So everybody, if you were looking to, apply for rotations in the near future, the best thing to do is connect with an advisor like myself. Really make sure that if you do need a visa, that you check the visa wait time before you start applying for rotations, because that's ultimately going to decide when you can and cannot do a rotation. We do offer visa support, as I did mention. There are ways to even expedite for an earlier appointment if it is needed. So be sure to contact us and we can make sure that you know exactly when you can come. Typically, we always like to recommend applying at least a few months in advance, maybe in up to a year, just so that you have everything kind of completed by that time. So really, as we kind of wind down this presentation, the three biggest points that I want everybody to kind of walk away through this rotation and just kind of learning in this webinar is that through AMO, you're going to get that guaranteed placement no matter what. There's no, oh, I'm going to apply and maybe I may or may not get the seat. You definitely will, as long as you submit that deposit for a rotation. It is a guaranteed spot. Secondly, you're going to get that world-class support from an advisor as well as a coach. So no matter what time, you need help, we're going to be there to kind of stew with anything that you need. And then lastly, it's really just standing out in the match. If you really need to, be able to match and want to get the essentially the highest chance of matching, attending one of our rotations is really going to help boost your chance, especially when we can kind of prove it with our 80% match rate. So now we are at the very end. I did also mention before that I was going to release a coupon code. So anybody that is still here, thank you for tuning in. Let me go ahead and share that in the chat here before I forget. But while we're still here, I am going to end the recording. So if anybody did have any questions and you didn't want to do it while the recording is live, you can do that now. So thank you all for